Hello everyone, this is Kaiser War here, and I just wanted to make a short video about one of my favorite video games of all time, that being Dissidia Duodecim Final Fantasy, or Dissidia 012. I'll be mostly referring to it as 012 for the rest of this video. So I've been expressing a lot of just general thoughts about how I would want a current day port of the game, because I really do believe Dissidia 012 is an amazing game. And I definitely want to see it outside of the PSP because I feel like it could work. Because playing Dissidia NT really bothered me about how they handled the game and how they wanted to force the game for esports. And there's a lot of things that just took away from what made Dissidia so much fun. Now, I won't lie and say that Dissidia 012 already had issues enough as it is. The game isn't perfect. Dissidia 012 definitely isn't a perfect game. The game's very grind heavy, especially if you want the best equipment in the game, because that will take so many hours away. And balancing for each character is very questionable, because there's a lot of characters that are blatantly overpowered, and there's some characters who just suck in general. But I think the chaos of Dissidia 012 is fun, you know? Like, I feel like I could have fun no matter who I was playing as and learn some new things about. And the good thing about Dissidia 012 and just the first two Dissidia games as a whole is that the game was very customizable. You can change your moves, you can equip new items to your characters. Hell, you can equip the whole setup just to KO enemies in one hit. It's crazy and very broken, but it was very fun. And the game had a lot of replay value. There was so much to do. They packed the entire first Dissidia game into 012, which I found really amazing, because like you don't even have to rebuy the original 012, because now with all the balance changes and the quality of life additions and the new characters that were introduced in 012, you don't even need to play the original one. 012 was the complete package. And I really do believe it deserves a current day like remaster. I really feel like Dissidia 012 should not be forgotten to the sands of time. I really don't, because, like, again, as I mentioned before, NT took away so much from 012. Like, honestly, it doesn't even feel like a Dissidia game. It only feels like a Dissidia game once you look at all the characters in the 3D arena, but everything else around it just doesn't feel right? I have major issues with Dissidia NT, and I'm going on a small rant about that for a bit. Dissidia NT was released as an arcade game that was known as Dissidia Final Fantasy 2015. And at first, you know, it was an arcade game. A lot of game companies release their games in arcades to kind of test the waters a bit, you know, add stuff as time goes on, see if there's a general audience there. I didn't really thought too much of it, but knowing that Dissidia NT started as an arcade game kind of didn't fill me with the best of hope, but I didn't care at the time. I just saw how the game looked and how it played, and seeing characters like Ramza from Final Fantasy Tactics was super cool. Like, honestly, I think the best thing that Dissidia NT did, one of the best things it ever did, was release characters outside of mainline Final Fantasy, because you got Ramza from Final Fantasy Tactics, you could play as Ace from Final Fantasy Type 0. I think that was cool. I think that was one of the coolest things it ever did, because, you know, you kept thinking as the Dissidia games went on, they would only release characters from the mainline games, right? But seeing characters like from spin-offs was actually pretty cool. But going back to the issues I had with NT, then they had the game 3v3, which was just a chaotic mess, because the problem about the 3v3 gameplay in NT is that, like, people could just gang up on the weakest member and steal wins that way. And the problem is there was like no penalty for it. You could just, if the person respawned back, you could just go back and, you know, gang up on them again and steal more wins. Like, the game didn't really feel like a team-based game. It felt more like a gang up on the worst person in the game way, and then just it wasn't fun. Then you get into the actual single-player content, which was barely any. Right? Like, the one thing that the game had for single player content was the story mode. And the worst thing about the story mode is that you had to grind the story mode. You had to unlock items called Memoria by playing the other actually very weak game modes in the game to unlock enough Memoria in order to unlock the stuff in the story mode. Sometimes when you get your Memoria, you don't even unlock anything really. You just unlock a cutscene, or you just unlock a regular fight, and you have to go back and grind the Memoria, which I think was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in a game do. I never played a game where you have to grind other modes just to unlock the story mode. This is a Final Fantasy game. You know, the game series known for their stories. Even Dissidia had a giant story mode for every character you played as. But you had to grind this one. And don't get me started on lack of customizations. They took a lot of the customizable moves away. They took away EX mode away. They took EX bursts away. Like, they severely limited the characters you already played at. Because the thing about like Dissidia is that you can customize your characters. Like, they have plenty of moves to work with, plenty of items to work with, all that kind of stuff. And they took away so many options. You're just playing basically the characters naked at that point. The game is way too chaotic with too much shit happening on the screen at once because it's just too much stuff going on, dude. You already got 3 people working about. You got summons in the background, people who can cast magic. Then the game feels so much slower because playing NT. You feel like NT would be faster, but NT feels so much slower to play. It's like dashing across the field feels so much slower, and I'm just like, I can't deal with this anymore. And the worst thing I feel like that came about of NT, right, is there was no general audience for it. You know what I mean? Like, people who really like 012 didn't like it. Esports folks, which this game was catered towards, esports folks didn't like it. And due to the 3v3 nature of the gameplay, it didn't play well online. There was too much shit happening on the screen, so the game played kind of trash online when I played it at the very least. And again, the only really good things I think about this game is that A, it added characters from Tactics and Type 0, and that showed that it was possible for more characters to get into Dissidia outside of like mainline Final Fantasy. And B, the game was actually really good to look at. I really think Dissidia NT looks gorgeous, which leads me to my next point. When I saw games like Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion get made, and that they're updating the character models from like the original PSP versions to look like characters from Remake, I was kind of hopeful, and I still am kind of hopeful, even though I really think it's impossible at this point, that I hope that one day, if they ever do Dissidia 012 in a port, I hope they give it the Unreal Engine treatment, as I like to call it, where they make all the character models look pretty, make it look like Dissidia NT, because I think the graphics were the best thing about NT. Like, make the characters models look like they're from NT, make the backgrounds look like they're from NT. The Unreal Engine, my bad. Make the upgrade the characters and backgrounds using Unreal and just have them fight basically like they used to. You know, add some quality of life changes, how you did in the Crisis Core, because Crisis Core plays so much better with all the new changes in it, and I feel like that could definitely work with Dissidia 012 and its, you know, in a current day port. Now, to be honest, I feel like that's never going to happen. I don't think if Square ever did a remaster of this game, they're not gonna like update the character models. So I'm not gonna trip about that. I would just prefer a current day port with all the bells and whistles, you know, all the quality of life changes, that kind of stuff. I really just want the game to play the best and look the best, and hopefully if they ever did release a current day port of 12, it would bring people into Dissidia, like, you know, to test the waters, to see if people want a new Dissidia game. And I know they're putting Dissidia on ice for a bit because NT did so poorly. But Opera Omnia is doing pretty well, and I hope that, you know, with Opera Omnia doing well, I hope that at the very least, a new Dissidia game, you know, can come in the future. I just hope that, like, maybe just put out 012, you know, test out the waters a bit. And if people are really attracted to it, and buy this port, and I mean a good port, because Square does have a track record of, you know, releasing jank ports, especially on the PC and sometimes the Switch. Don't screw up the port, because that will just turn people off from wanting a new Dissidia. Because I feel like I don't want a new Dissidia game at this moment. I want 012 to come out as a remaster and then test the waters to see how a new Dissidia game will do. Then that's all I really want to say. I hope for a current day port or remaster, but I'm not really holding my breath on that. It's a Square we're talking about here. Anything could happen. You know, they could easily surprise me. I don't know. I mean, hell, Chrono Cross came back. Live Alive came back. So, you know, those games I would never ever expect to see again, they came back. There's a chance Dissidia 012 can come back somehow. There's also some things I want to know, like, are they going to add like new characters into it? Sometimes you don't really add new characters in the remasters like this, if it were the game where it would get remastered, but I don't like to see a new character or so, you know. Add Aerith. Aerith is an assist character that was DLC for Dissidia 012, but I really feel like you could, you know, add her in there just to, you know, pad out the roster, give her an actual moveset. I feel like it'd be nice to see Aerith in Dissidia 012. That'd be kind of cool, like as an actual playable character and not just an assist DLC. There's other DLC, but it's not really anything major. Like there's some costume DLC, there's like music DLC. Just put that in the remaster by default. You know, add more music if that would be okay with. You know, there's plenty of music in Final Fantasy you can add into the new version. New costumes, new colors, new stuff. You know, that's really all I wanted to say. I really like Dissidia 12, and I really hope that if they ever do remaster, they can just make it look prettier, make it a good port, give it good online play so people can play it all over the world. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I really want to say. So, Square, give me the port. But seriously though, without further ado, I'll see y'all next time. Peace out, everyone. And if you guys really played Dissidia 12, you know, definitely tell me in the comment section below if you want to see a remaster. If you played NT as your first Dissidia game, tell me how you enjoyed it, all that kind of stuff. See y'all next time. Peace out. Kaiser War, gone.